What is good, chat, man? Today we got a W video. Today we have a fire video. That first of all, before I get into the intro, I am glad to be back, bro. I'm glad to be back, man. Hold on, let me try to fix this right quick. Hold up. Okay, cool. But yeah, bro, I'm glad to be back. We're back, starting back strong. We have a W series planned. Um, I know this is my first video back in 2026. But bro, we're back. Like, not gonna lie. Let me make sure I don't got nothing up there that's, you know, leaking anything. But anyways, um yeah, bro, we're back, and today we're starting off strong. We got a let me make sure my thing is straight. Um okay. This should be good. But so as you can tell by the title, today we're gonna be doing Outwitting the Devil. Uh, it's basically I'm gonna start doing lectures. I'm doing a whole series of lectures that I have planned. I have about 7 planned right now. It does takes a lot of research. So my dog is tweaking. So as I'm going through this lecture, bro, take out a notebook. I got a notebook right here. I got 2 notebooks actually. Take out your notebook, take some notes, take some sticky notes, because at the end of the day, these lectures is to help us get better, and it's also helping me get better because I'm researching before I do these lectures. So Ramadan just passed, and I basically read a book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Now, this is the book basically. I'll read a quick so Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, it basically is a work of nonfiction that was written in 1938 by Napoleon Hill, which was considered too controversial to be published in its era. The book is written as an interview between Hill and the devil, which is basically our inner dark self, wherein Hill attempts to uncover the secrets to freedom and success by evaluating the greatest obstacles that humans face in order to attain their personal goals in life. Outwitting the Devil was released by Sterling Publishing in July 2011. So the book was written in 1938, and it wasn't published. It wasn't released until 2011. Now I heard that when Napoleon Hill died, when she died in 1970, when he died, his wife had the book, and I heard that she didn't even want to publish it, so it took for their child to publish it in 2011. Which, bro, this book, it changed it. It didn't. I wouldn't say. Well, it definitely changed the way I think, but it also like brought out a lot of stuff that I already knew, if that makes sense. So without further ado, man, make sure to make sure to have your notebook, have your pencil, because today we are going to be taking notes, and we are going to be locked in. you know I want this to be about an hour. Yeah, we're going to do this for about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. So make sure y'all are locked in, bro. We're getting into it. um Hold up. So first, where I want to start at with the book is, as y'all heard, it is a wait. Before we get into the lecture, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This took a lot of note taking, a lot of research, a lot of whatever. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But okay, so Outwitting the Devil, right? The core idea of the book is that most people believe that they are in control of their lives, right? And the reality is that many are being controlled by fear, trauma, your environment, and society. Let me my phone on do not disturb. So they're all being conferred, right? I mean, you're all being controlled by fear. Now, the devil in this context isn't necessarily anything like how a certain religion tells you that the devil is. All the devil is, it represents negativity in a sense. So it represents fear, manipulation, and control, right? Now, the personal. I hope y'all can see the notes, bro. Yeah, I hope y'all can see the notes. Whatever. Um. Now, the realization that I made was, which is what he essentially says in the book, is that you think that you're making your own decisions when you're not. You're currently influenced by fear, negative beliefs, and past experiences. So, for example, right, you could you now you so okay, perfect example. When you're in school, right, and the teacher asks you a question, you know the answer in your head, but for some reason, something makes you not want to raise your hand. Something now you may think, oh, I just don't feel like doing it. I don't want to raise my hand. But in reality, you have a fear of criticism. Like, oh, what if I feel stupid? What if I look stupid? What if people think I'm smart? Some people do that. Like some people don't want to be looked at as smart. Some people just want to hide in their own corner and which used to be me. You know, so you think that you're making a decision by not wanting to raise your hand and talk in front of everyone, but you're not, but it's way deeper to why you're doing that. You're doing it because you're influenced by fear and negative beliefs. Because if you believed in yourself 100%, if you were confident in a positive way, then you would be raising your hand because I know the answer. You see what I'm saying? So that's just like a little example of it. Now the key concept of this is that a lack of awareness equals a lack of control. If you are not aware of what is influencing you on a daily basis, you don't have any control within your life, like none. You have to be aware of why you do the things you do. Why do I think the way that I think? You have to ponder. You see what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, you have to ponder, bro. So, in the book, you know, the devil talks about six basic fears, which is poverty, criticism, health, loss of love, old age, right? And death. So poverty and death are the two strongest ones. Now, for me, I think that hmm, I don't know which one. Let's see what I put. So how I broke this down is a fear of poverty, right? It stops people from taking risk. It stops people from taking risk because they're comfortable with their job. They're comfortable with their 9 to 5. They're comfortable in the rat race. They're like, okay, I have a guaranteed amount of money. I know what I'm gonna do. You know, I know what my check is gonna look like. They don't want to become entrepreneurs because their fear of going broke, their fear of investing their time and their own money into a business that could generate them generational wealth. They have a fear of doing that, and that stops them from taking risk. Um, and that keeps people from, you know, establishing businesses help that could potentially benefit your entire bloodline after you, right? The guy who created Walmart, his entire bloodline after him is set pretty much. So then you have fear of criticism, right? This prevents growth. Even self-aware people need outside perspectives because at the end of the day, our perspective is limited, right? Because fear of criticism causes people to stay quiet or play small. So, like I was saying before, with the person who knows the answer but doesn't raise their hand, they're downplaying, they're dumbing themselves down because they have a fear of being wrong, but they have a fear of criticism, right? And it prevents growth. it prevents growth in so many different ways. So you having a fear of criticism is holding you back. Then you have a fear of health. The way I the way I the way that I look at this one is it leads to blind trust in experts. It leads to full submission in science, full submission in, you know, um, just the experts, the quote unquote experts, the same people who said that we should take the COVID vaccine. People who fear health, they're going to listen to the experts, the people who they think, you know, are true, like are telling the truth. When in all reality, these people, like in all reality, these people are telling you to ignore your personal judgment and common sense because these people can tell you, oh, okay, eating McDonald's doesn't harm you at all, but we all know that it does. These people can tell you there's nothing wrong with eating fast food every single day. Common sense will tell you that there's no way that McDonald's sells that many burgers and it's just healthy for, like, it's not healthy for that cheap. It's not healthy. All of the healthy stuff is really kind of pricey. So the fear of health causes people to not use their common sense, right? Now, a fear of loss of love. If you if you fear that you cannot be, hold on, give me 1 second, chat. If you fear that you cannot be, um, if you fear the loss of love, then you change yourself to be accepted. You dumb down your own personality because you don't want to offend anybody, and it leads to losing your identity over time, right? But if you change the way that you are based on every single person that you meet, you're eventually not even going to remember who you truly are because you keep changing yourself because you're never going to be enough for anybody, right? So you dumb down your own personality. Even though you know somebody's wrong, you don't call them out because of the fear of them not loving you or liking you, and you start to change yourself, which holds you back as a person. And then you have the fear of old age, right? The fear of old age makes people feel like, I'm getting older, it's too late, you know. And even people, even I've had this thought, like, bro, I'm 22, like, bro, I gotta lock in, like, bro, I have to lock in. Like, it's too late for me to do certain things because you know what I'm saying? Like, people have these thoughts every day, and it kills your ambitions and it kills your confidence because at the end of the day, you see younger people do it, and that's also comparison. Comparison is the killer of all joy. So you're comparing yourself to people who have a different journey than you, that are younger than you, that got it maybe a little quicker than you, right? And it kills your ambition and it kills your confidence. And it causes mental retirement before physical aging. So it causes you to mentally retire. Oh, I'm getting old. Maybe I need to just chill before you even physically have to chill. You're not a lot of y'all aren't, you know, you know, entitled to a wheelchair. Y'all can move around fine. If you can walk around fine at a decent speed, bro, you can do a lot of things. So, that's one thing. And then the fear of death. The fear of death is the strongest because it makes people accept oppression. It stops people from speaking the truth. How many people do we know? How many famous people do we know that's been killed for speaking the truth? It controls behavior at the highest level. Think about it. I remember Andrew Tate gave this analogy. He said, Why do everyone follow rules? You follow rules because of the threat of violence, right? Because boom, if you don't pay a ticket, even something as small as a parking ticket, if you don't pay a parking ticket, right, what happens? They call you to court, right? If you don't go to court, what happens? They show up at your door. If you say I'm not leaving, if you refuse jail, what do? They force you to go to jail. If they force you and you're still resisting, what's gonna happen? It's violence is gonna come no matter what. So that's what controls people the most, the fear of death, the fear of violence. So death controls a lot. It makes people, you know, choose the safe route with everything. It makes people accept oppression, like it literally says on the notes. This is the strongest form of control, the fear of death. And basically, all of these fears of death, all of these fears is the devil's mechanisms to, like, it uses, like, the devil uses these fears to control 98% of the world. So, um, how society reinforces fear, right? So society reinforces fear with school, because smart students, so like I said, it says smart students stay quiet due to fear of being wrong. So the real smart students stay quiet because they fear being wrong. Fear of criticism limits participation. So if you fear every time in school, if you fear that you're going to be criticized, you don't participate as much as someone who doesn't care about being criticized. You only participate when there's a guaranteed fact that you are right, which is what I used to do all the time. Then you have a fear of rejection, right? Which equates to a desire to fit in. A lot of students want to fit in with their peers, with the cool kids, the popular kids, and it's all due to a fear of rejection. Nobody wants to feel like they're rejected by the majority of people in whatever setting that they're in. You know, especially when you're a kid, your brain isn't fully developed. You don't have a lot of kids, some kids have it, but a lot of kids don't have that. I'm going to be me regardless. A lot of kids want to fit in, you know, that's just human nature. So, students, yeah, so then with that desire to fit in, students try to be cool instead of authentic. They try to be people that they're not. They try to emulate the cool kids and the popular kids, and they end up again losing their identity and forgetting who they even were to begin with. And then you have to go on this whole journey of trying to find who you are again. And then you have the media, right? The media constantly shows death, it constantly shows violence, it constantly shows conflict, and uh it's constantly a warped sense of reality, in a sense, like, if that makes sense. Like, there how think about it. As many people that you see die on social media, as many times have you as many times that you've opened your phone and seen that somebody died, or 100 people were killed. If phones didn't exist, if the media did not exist, you would never know that that happened. Now, I'm not saying get rid of the media completely. Of course, it's beneficial to be updated on, what's happening in the world. But at the end of the day, this is all spiritual. So if I wake up and I see this person died, a little girl got killed, a little boy got killed, you're gonna walk around that it goes to your subconscious, and you're gonna carry that around in your subconscious all day. And whether you notice it or not, it affects you. So that's why I recommend social media detoxes, and not being so involved with social media, because a lot of times you wouldn't even know that happened. You would have no way of knowing that happened. And people would say, well, I need to keep up with my. Bro, if somebody that you know died, you're going to hear about it either way. You see what I'm saying? So then, they show conflict, they show violence, they show death, they show all of these things to affect your subconscious mind, to have you living in a state of fear. Then, so I also put this in here, right? Personal story but insight. So around the time, I have the story around the time where George Floyd got killed or whatever, back in 2020. The media was just very prominent on, like, black people are being killed by police, black people, which is true, right? But me personally, I have never had like a negative encounter with a police officer where they've been aggressive, or that's just my personal, like I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I have. That's never happened. I've always run across like nice police officers, right? Well, around that time where George Floyd had got killed, I was walking and a police car was driving very slow behind me, like very slow, right? And I'm getting nervous, I'm getting anxious, and I'm like, oh my God, like, because I've been seeing all of this stuff that's going on with George Floyd. So I was nervous, I was scared, I was walking, like, and I was just thinking, like, bro, like, what's gonna happen? So the guy pulls up, so the police car pulls up beside me, and he's like, hey, um, yeah, they're doing mental health stuff down there by the library, due to everything that's going on in the world right now. And he gives me a card. And bro, from that moment, I just thought like, why the fuck was I scared? Why was I scared? Why was I so anxious? Like, I've never had a bad experience with, and I'm not saying that it can't happen, but I'm just saying I've never had a bad experience with the cops. So why was I scared? What triggered that? And when you think back to it, the only thing that triggered that was social media. So what? So, and this is completely separate, but social media has now made it so that we are living other people's experiences and we are operating in the world as if we are living, as if we have experienced and lived, what we're consuming on social media. So we have to sit here and think, where are my beliefs coming from? Why do I think the way I think? Like everybody who's under the age of like 30, you need to seriously like think, like you need to seriously ponder, like think, like you need to sit there and meditate, do what, pray, do whatever you need to do, and sit here and think, why do I have the beliefs that I have? Do I have it because of somebody else have it on social media, or do I have it because I literally came to this own conclusion by myself? We all need to think this because social media is leading us all down the drain, bro. Now, religion, right? Now, I think it's overall a positive thing if you believe in religion. I'm a Muslim. Um, so I hate to say it. I really do. I love my Christian brothers and sisters, right? But I hate to say it. When Napoleon Hill talks in the book about religion, he's referring mostly to Christianity. He is. And he doesn't necessarily, well, he does mention the church. He doesn't mention Islam. And the reason why he doesn't mention Islam is because in the book he talks about how religion institutes also control you in a negative way because questioning things is often discouraged, right? Now in Islam, they tell us ask questions. They tell you ponder. In the Quran, it says ponder. It says ask questions. If you have, bro, I've never. Every time I've asked a question, they never told me, "Oh, you're going to hell." They've always responded and replied with an answer that makes sense. So when he says questioning is often discouraged, that's not Islam, that's Christianity, right? Now, when even this response to questions, don't question, just believe. We don't believe in blind faith in Islam. You know, we that's why Islam is the fastest growing religion because you can ask questions because it's logical. You could come to now. No offense to any Christian. This is just my opinion, right? No offense to the Christians, because I do think that we should be allies and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's true. And then it says creates fear around thinking independently. In Islam, we say, okay, think, because if you're really thinking, if you have an open heart, then you are gonna find that's why I say, if you're thinking logically, if you have an open heart, if you don't have any pre-biases, it's almost impossible to not become Muslim, right? And yeah, that's pretty much that. Now, this is one of my favorite topics of the whole book, right? Drifting. So the definition of drifting is living unconsciously, allowing fear, habits, and environment to control your life. Now, personal realization is that identified I identified as I was reading this book, right? I identified myself as a drifter. And I tried to come up with reasons to why I was not a drifter. But everything that he was saying in the book, I'm like, bro, I do that. I'm a drifter. I literally do that. And the patterns that I recognize is that I've had the same goals for years. I haven't had any real progress. So this whole time, it's like you think that you're in control, but you're not. Like you're literally not. You think that you're progressing in a sense, but you're not. You're not progressing. Now, the traits of a drifter, and anybody who's watching this, you need to be 100%, real with yourself. Now, do you have a lack of a definite purpose? What that means is, what your purpose isn't to get money. That's not your purpose. Your purpose isn't to, I don't know, your purpose isn't money though. You need to have a definite purpose. Like you need to have like a real reason why. Like you need to have like a reason that gets you up every single morning, whether you feel like it or not, right? Now, if you don't have a purpose, if you're struggling to think like, is that, hmm, do I have a purpose? What is my purpose? You're most likely a drifter. Now, procrastination, right? I'm the biggest procrastinator. Like I was the biggest procrastinator, right? But we have to be real with ourselves. Are we procrastinating? Like, what do you want in your? Okay, ask yourself this: what do you want right now? What is something that I want right now? Now ask yourself: did you want that same exact thing 3 years ago? If you did, you are most likely a drifter. Now, indecision, you can't make decisions. You love comfort. You love being in your comfort zone. You're a drifter. You're easily influenced. A lack of discipline. Blames your circumstances. Avoid responsibility. Repetitive thinking, and escapism. All of those things I did. All of those things I've done, bro. Now, the reason why drifting is dangerous, if I'm going too fast with these two, make sure just to pause the video and write down the notes or whatever. But the reason why drifting is dangerous is, I mean, it's pretty much common sense. It leads to complacency, mediocrity, and a lack of fulfillment. You will never feel fulfilled because by the time you know it, 10 years have passed and you still do not have an apartment. The same when you were 18, you graduated high school and said, I'm going to get me an apartment, I'm going to work a job. You started working at McDonald's and you're 28 now and you still don't have an apartment and you're still working at McDonald's. You are a drifter. Um, Now, Napoleon Hill doesn't go over this obviously because it was in 1938 when he wrote the book and social media didn't exist. But bro, drifting has gotten way worse from 1938 to 2026 because we have social media. We have a phone right here that can literally that's what doom scrolling is. It's drifting. It's a smaller like version of drifting, but it's not really a smaller version. It's a major form of drifting. Having your personality shaped by TikTok. Have you ever been talking to somebody and you're like, bro, you sound like TikTok. Like you say, like you have TikTok lingo. All the songs you listen to are from TikTok. You literally get your information from TikTok. Nobody studies anymore. Nobody researches things anymore. You have a lack of original thought. You do not know how to critical think. You are a drifter. You're a drifter. And the dangerous thing with algorithms, which I'm going to make a video deeper about, just specifically algorithms. Algorithms are the most dangerous thing that ever happened to this modern generation, because you're literally stuck in a cycle of things that you like and things that interest you and things that, with some people, it's almost impossible to know that another opinion even exists. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, people adopt popular opinions without thinking. People buy things just because other people have them. People defend mainstream ideas without questioning it. And yeah. Now, Napoleon Hill also goes over in the book Independent Thinking and how independent thinking is the number one tool against the devil. He said thinking for yourself, it basically is thinking for yourself despite external pressure. So, and this is why, chat, and this is part of the reason why my name on here is Nas the Rebel. Because I'm not just gonna sit here and believe like, hey, by the way, what was something? By the way, Abraham Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. It's like, okay, let me do my own research on that and I'll get back to you. Right? I'm not gonna sit here and just believe whatever y'all say just because y'all said it. Y'all are people too. Y'all lie too. Y'all have motives also. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and just believe anything. So the reason why that matters is the reason why independent thinking matters is because it breaks control of fear in society and it opposes drifting. It's literally the opposite of drifting. So the traits of someone who independently thinks is curiosity, they ask questions, the courage to standing on their beliefs, self-awareness, and recognizing influence. Now, all of these things, I think that I have these traits, but I think that this book really helped me bring them out. And this book really helped me because this book really helped me apply these traits onto like my real life. Because obviously I've had these with, knowledge and my beliefs and things of that nature, but this book helped me really apply this to my real life and be, self-aware with, just doing real adult stuff. So, and it says personal application, the way you apply this to yourself, question beliefs instead of blindly following, came to conclusions through reflection and reasoning, and that's how I became Muslim. I didn't just be like, oh, I was born into it. No, I studied. I studied every major religion that there is. Oh, and I actually have it right here. Choose Islam after critically thinking, which is facts. I studied Hinduism, Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, I studied Taoism, and yeah. And in the Quran, it says this. It says an hour of reflection is better than a year of worship. So then in the book, Napoleon Hill says that you have to have a definiteness of purpose. You have to have, and I call this the permit method. The reason why I call this the permit method is because when I was 16, um, okay, my sophomore year, no, my junior year of high school, no, yeah, my junior year of high school, COVID hit, and we were only in school for a few months, and then COVID hit, and then we went virtual, right? Um, when we were in school, I was trying to get my permit. I was in the class, and I was going to get my permit, right? COVID hit, boom, I couldn't do it. Ever since we got taken out of school, I kept saying, you know what? I'm gonna get my permit. I turned 17. I'm gonna get my permit. I turned 18. I'm gonna get my permit. 19, 20, 21. I kept saying it and saying it and saying it, and I did not do it. I was drifting the whole time, right? Now, then, when I read the book, I said, you know what? I'm going to get my permit. I'm going to do it. I don't care what gets in my way, I'm going to do it. I had a definiteness of purpose. I said, bro, I'm getting up tomorrow. I don't care how I feel. I'm going to the DMV. I'm getting my permit. I went to the DMV and I failed the test, obviously. I didn't study. I just was so motivated to go. I just went. I went. I came home. I studied all day, all day, all day. I went the next day, took it again. And I think I failed again, but that's besides the point. I came home. I studied all day, all day, all day, all day, all day. I studied again. I went back and I passed it. And my mindset was literally, I already have my permit. I already have it because I know for a fact there's no way that I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep taking the test. There's no way I'm going to fail if I keep going back every single day. There's no way. Like that literally doesn't even make sense. So I call that the permit method. It's just having a definiteness of purpose. You know, the key concepts of it is having a strong belief, an automatic action. I like the automatic action is me keep going back. I'm going to keep going no matter what. I'm going to keep because I know for a fact I already have it. I know that if as long as I keep going back, I have it already. You see what I'm saying? So clarity removes hesitation. So if you know for a fact, if you can understand the system behind it, if you can understand like, okay, whatever I want to achieve, I know that if I do X, I know for a fact I'm going to get X, then that gives you clarity in a sense and you know what automatic action you need to have consistently. And when you have a purpose, it reduces your fear. So, we're almost done here. But the practical principles of it is to master your thoughts. You have to build a consistent routine, and you have to take action despite fear. Now, I'm not saying when you have those automatic actions, you're not going to be discouraged. You're not going to be, you know, in your own head. You're not going to feel fear. You are going to feel fear, but you have to have that strong belief to know that it's going to be done regardless. I know for a fact it's going to be done. And if you're Christian or if you're religious or Muslim, then we know that when we pray, I give it to God after that. I ask God for what I want, and at the end of the day, it's in His hands. I give it straight to Him. I know that for a fact, if it's good for me, that I'm going to have it. Right? I know for a fact that if it's good for me, I'm going to have it. And for some reason, and that's another reason why I never say I failed anymore. I never say I quit. The first day I failed my, the first day I failed my, uh, my permit, I came home and I said, someone said, "Oh, you didn't get your permit? You failed your permit test?" I said, "No, I just didn't get it yet. I didn't get it yet. I already have it. I just didn't get it yet. They didn't give it to me today. I have to come back tomorrow." I said, "Oh, yeah." I don't say that I failed anymore. I say that I did not achieve that yet, or I did not learn that yet. You know, we have to change the way we talk and the way we think. But then yeah. So that's the key concept. Fear only wins when you stop the action. So the only time that you actually do fail is when you say, "All right, I give up. I'm not gonna do this anymore." Like if I was to be like, you know what, I failed my permit. You know, I'm not going back. I'm gonna just walk for the rest of my life. That's a failure. You failed. That's when you fail. Now, as far as the spiritual connection, which is more so, Napoleon Hill doesn't talk about this really, but I put this part in here. The core idea of the spiritual connection is that Shaitan, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, whatever it is, does not have control. He only has influence. He can only whisper. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't actually he doesn't have any actual control. He can only influence you to do things. You know, at the end of the day, we have free will. We can do whatever we want to do. So humans choose whether to follow or resist. And his influence works through fear. His influence works through doubt and distraction. Distraction is a big one. Now, the Quranic concept is Shaitan invites, but he does not force you. Many people follow due to a lack of awareness and they don't realize that they're doing it, bro. This is, bro, I'm not gonna cap. It's like, it's so crazy, bro. Like, because, bro, I'm literally getting goosebumps. Like, because including me, like, you have to have awareness. I cannot stress how much awareness, you know, is important, bro, because you will be doing something and you're like, bro, like once you really have that awakening, it's like, bro, I'm literally doing the devil's work. Literally. So you have to really be intentional and you have to have that awareness, bro. But um the overall message is that most people are the overall message of the book is that most people are controlled by fear without realizing it. You're controlled by the devil without realizing it. Society reinforces that fear on a daily. Drifting leads to an unfulfilled life. It really, bro, you will feel empty. You will feel numb. You will feel like your life does not matter if you keep drifting. But independent thinking breaks control. Your purpose and discipline creates freedom. So that's the core messages of the book. That's the overall message of the book. That's what I came to. That's the conclusion I came to. The final takeaways are you need to identify your personal fears and be real with yourself. Identify your personal fears. You need to recognize where you are drifting. You need to control what influences your mind. Think independently, develop a clear purpose, and most importantly, you need to act despite of fear. You need to act even if you are scared. If you've been wanting to create a business for so long, but you're scared that you're gonna broke, bro, who cares? Money, you can get it back. Launch the business today, right now. Now the closing idea is life is a constant internal battle. Control your mind or be controlled. You have to have awareness. Awareness is the first step. It is. Awareness is the first step to freedom. And most importantly, you need to wake. You need to wake up, buddy. You need to wake up, bro. And I meant to read his his thing, but I just got straight into the video. I was just yapping. But I hope this video um helped y'all out. And y'all are gonna see me be a lot more intentional with these videos and try to really do well with these lectures. Um I mean, and that's pretty much it, bro. That's pretty much it, chat. So, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And then until next time, peace.